If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a... If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a... If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a... If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you're under the microscope. So we just got done watching the debate for the Attorney General between Jay Jones and Jason Miyares. And I'll be honest with you, I would not vote for either of them. But if I was stuck with one of them, I'll have to go with Jay Jones. Now, the reason I would never vote for Jason Miyares is because he's the current Attorney General, and he's been quiet, completely quiet on the issues that we've been talking about for the past 2.5 years. What am I talking about? I've got files, body cams, and documents, sealed files that I'm leaking on the internet. These files are no longer sealed, where in one case, it shows police falsify a whole entire case. Mustafa Al-Jazairi sits in solitary confinement for the past 2.5 years, and you have evidence that show police have falsified the whole entire case. Jason Miyares wants to hide behind that the case is sealed. Absolutely, the case is sealed. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth sealed this case. She went to Judge Carol Weimer and sealed off the case. And Commonwealth Amy Ashworth tells you the reason that she sealed it is, well, she's not really telling us why, but one can assume that cases are sealed because maybe to protect the individuals in this case, maybe to protect whatever she wants to protect in this case. Well, I find it interesting that when I go through the sealed case, Mustafa Al-Jazairi, his girlfriend, has children. Children that Mustafa took the father role in their life. A 9, a 10, a 14. I find forensic interviews in this file where the children are talking about that the police lied to them before walking them into the forensic interview. And one of the things the child talks about is that the police told Javen, the 14-year-old, that Mustafa ran away, left his 5-year-old baby sister to bleed to death, and the police could have saved her if Mustafa didn't run away. Well, that's interesting. When you look through the body cams and you look through the documents, you find out Mustafa is laying in front of his vehicle after the vehicle accident, in and out of consciousness, and at one point went into a complete coma. Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. So why is Investigator Romero telling these children, a 9, a 10, a 14, that Mustafa ran away, left your 5-year-old baby sister to bleed to death, and they could have saved her, the police could have saved her if Mustafa hadn't run away? Mustafa was in a coma. Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. Is that not child abuse? I mean, you're weaponizing the children against Mustafa before you walk them into a forensic interview. Is that not weaponizing the children? Is that not abusing the children? So I pedal back and I look at, why is this case sealed? You want to tell me to protect the children? To protect the individuals in this case? The police are abusing the children. Jason Miyares, our current Attorney General, wants to hide behind that this case is sealed. Well, I've managed to have access into the police department server. I've got the Mustafa Al-Jazairi file, body cams, and documents. I've got other files that's coming out of this county, and I'm leaking them all over the internet. The Mustafa Al-Jazairi case is no longer sealed. So where is Jason Miyares? Mustafa Al-Jazairi gets in a vehicle accident. Every details coming out of this case show that this is a vehicle accident. Mustafa's foot, the computer inside the vehicle, showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. That Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. That Mustafa made it all the way to the 4th lane, avoided every vehicle, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Why is Mustafa being charged with murder? Oh, that's right. They sealed off the whole case. They falsified the whole case. And Jason Miyares, our current Attorney General, is completely silent. Every detail showed that this is a vehicle accident. The police, evidence show, we're leaking out body cams and document. Evidence show that not only that the children have been weaponized against Mustafa, but Mustafa's vehicle is being crushed and staged by the police. The investigator, Chad Mason, took the dash camera inside Mustafa's vehicle, cut that dash camera before impact, removes the audio, and removes 17 frames from the camera facing inside the vehicle. You have an officer that's tampering with evidence. For the past 2.5 years, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth tells us that this dash camera does not have audio. Well, that's interesting. When I open the case file, I find that Officer Zymas with digital forensic admit that this dash camera does have audio. That's interesting. So it does have audio. So they remove the audio. Chad Mason removes the audio. And then you have investigator Drum falsify Mustafa's statement. We have a recording between Mustafa and the investigator that Mustafa never said what this investigator claimed that Mustafa said. He puts in the report that Mustafa said that Mustafa admitted to he was arguing with his girlfriend. We have the recording of the conversation. Mustafa never said that. So you have investigator Robert Drum falsify Mustafa's statement only to have Chad Mason remove the audio from the dash camera and cut the dash camera before impact. Now, prosecutor Sarah Sammy in court tells Judge Carol Weimer that Mustafa never cleared the vehicle. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy tells Judge Carol Weimer that she has witnesses that will come forward that already said that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. That's interesting, because when I opened the body cams, every witness in this case on body cam tell you we didn't see the accident. So why is prosecutor Sarah Sammy telling Judge Carol Weimer that she has witnesses on the scene that said that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic? As a matter of fact, in Exhibit 4, a body cam titled Exhibit 4 that we've leaked it on the internet, at 1850, timestamp 1850, you have a witness that tell you, I saw the accident. Mustafa cleared the SUV, made it all the way into the 4th lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Why is that nowhere in the reports? It's nowhere in the reports. You have another witness that says, I heard him hit the brake. It's nowhere in the reports. That's been omitted completely out of the whole report. And then the case gets sealed and no one can find out what is going on here. And then you have prosecutor Sarah Sammy in court tell the judge, Your Honor, I have witnesses that will say that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. How convenient for this prosecutor that this case is sealed. And when you reach out to Jason Miyares, he's completely silent on the issue. And then during the debate, he tells this community to vote him in again as the Attorney General. And he's given himself a title that he's a people protector. How? How are you a people protector? How are you protecting this community when you have a giant case that's been falsified, leaked all over the internet, and you are completely silent? Prosecutor Sarah Sami at one point told Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, Mustafa never cleared the SUV. Mustafa's front passenger, where his girlfriend is completely crushed by the SUV. That the back passenger, where the 5-year-old baby sits, is completely crushed by the SUV. That Mustafa maneuvered the vehicle only to get his girlfriend and the 5-year-old baby crushed. Well, that's interesting, Prosecutor Sarah Sami. Judge Carol Weimer, I have a body cam where Investigator Davis, during a vehicle inspection, you have a police mechanic inspecting the vehicle. One, find brake failure. They find brake failure in Mustafa's vehicle. So when the vehicle didn't stop, Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. There's brake failure. You hear Investigator Chad Mason tell the police mechanic that we had the fire department put hydraulics where Mustafa's front passenger sits, his girlfriend, only to roll the vehicle forward, crushing Mustafa's front passenger side. And he tells him the reason we did that is because we wanted access to the ACM. Well, that's interesting. When I look at the pictures of the vehicle at the scene after the accident, the vehicle wasn't caved in. You clearly had access to the ACM. So why did you have the fire department put in hydraulic to roll the vehicle forward and claiming that you needed access to the ACM? You had access to the ACM. But what you've done, I have a body cam that you admitted on body cam that Dorothy's side, the front passenger, is crushed because the police asked the fire department to crush that portion. They crushed that portion. Now, Prosecutor Sarah Sami in court had Investigator Chad Mason on the stand and identified him as an expert witness. And he testified that Mustafa never cleared the SUV. And the reason he never cleared the SUV is because they see that his girlfriend's side and the front passenger and the back passenger where his girlfriend sits and the back passenger where 5-year-old Empress is crushed. Well, that's interesting. We have a body cam that show the front passenger was not crushed before you, the police department, had the fire department crush it for you. But no one can verify that at the time because the case is completely sealed. Chad Mason, the same investigator who admitted to Judge Carol Weimer at a motion to dismiss that he took the dash camera back to his vehicle, violated the chain of custody, and instead of taking the dash camera, giving it to digital forensic, where they can copy the files to protect the files and then upload it to the police department server, evidence.com. To protect those files, they have to mirror the files and then upload the copied version. So just in case Mustafa's defense attorney wants access to question the evidence, that the evidence is protected. Instead, Chad Mason admitted to Judge Carol Weimer. He said, I took the dash camera back to my vehicle, violated the chain of custody, violated department policy. I took the SD card out, downloaded the files, put the SD card back into the dash camera, took the dash camera back into and put it back on the windshield. Sat on those files for 2 days. 2 days later, decided to get a warrant. Who uploaded the files to the server? Not digital forensic. Investigator Chad Mason. Well, that's interesting because today we're looking at a dash camera that has no audio, is cut before impact, and has 17 frames missing from the camera facing inside the vehicle. Mustafa's dash camera has a camera facing outside and has a camera facing inside. It's a dash camera that sees two views. Well, 17 frames are missing from the camera facing inside the vehicle. How convenient. You violate the chain of custody. Now we have a dash camera that has no audio and missing frames and is cut before impact. And for 2 years, they tell you there's no audio. When you open the file, in the case file, you see that Officer Zymuth with digital forensic admit that this dash camera does have audio. Interesting. How convenient. You have Mustafa's statement falsified. You have a dash camera that's cut and muted. You have a vehicle crushed in stage. You have witnesses that's being suppressed that Judge Carol Weimer doesn't hear about, that these witnesses, that there is a witness, there are two witnesses. One saw Mustafa clear the SUV, and two saw heard Mustafa hit the brake. It's convenient that this case is sealed so that the prosecutor can lie in court. And what's coming out lately out of this case during a Brady motion, Mustafa's defense attorney put in a Brady motion, multiple Brady violations. That the children is being weaponized against Mustafa, that the vehicle is crushed and staged, the dash camera is cut and muted, Mustafa's statement is falsified, and missing body cams out of this case file. The body cams that's uploaded to the police department server, evidence.com, is edited. You can clearly see that they're edited and uploaded to the server. Missing body cams. Now, Judge Carol Weimer approved all the Brady violation. I mean, he has no choice not to approve them. They're all on body cam. You can clearly see the evidence is right there. But denied the communication of the prosecutor. Now, it's a problem because throughout this whole entire case, through the body cam, through the document, you see the prosecutor being updated every step of the way. This prosecutor wants to tell you, I had no idea what these police officers were doing. Well, that's not what we're finding out in this file. We're finding that Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is being updated every step of the way. And Judge Carol Weimer denied the release of her communication. And he ordered her to release the body cam, the missing body cam. But the real question is, how could you trust a prosecutor that's been using police officer that falsified this case for the past 2.5 years? You've been updated every step of the way. How could we trust you to get the rest of the missing body cams? The only way that you can find out what body cam is missing, what took place in this case, is by releasing the communication from the prosecutor between her and the police officer, between her and the witnesses. This information has to be released to Mustafa's defense because there's a clear bias in this whole entire case. As soon as officers show up on scene, they have a label for Mustafa. There's a clear bias in how they're going about the investigation. And it shows that the prosecutor has been updated every step of the way. The prosecutor is in on it. The prosecutor is guiding these officers on how to omit, falsify, and remove evidence from this case. That's why this communication has to be released. And Mustafa's defense is entitled to this communication. When you see that there is a bias in this case, Brady versus Maryland is a case law out of the Supreme Court. Entitles Mustafa's defense to the communication. What am I talking about? As soon as officer get on scene, you have Officer Casey Fine, who's clearly has a bias against Mustafa. He tells the main investigator, Robert Drum, that Mustafa is on drugs. That the reason this happened is that Mustafa is on drugs. We have Mustafa's toxicology report. It shows that Mustafa, toxicology, showed no alcohol and no drugs. But this investigator, what he did, he put a label on Mustafa. That you can hear the main investigator, Robert Drum, at one point he says, whatever the fuck that guy goes, whatever the fuck Mustafa goes, I want a blood draw. Immediately steered the investigation. Clearly, you can see a bias. We're going to go through certain body cams released from a body cam called Exhibit 4. And we're going to see, is there a bias in this case? What is Officer Casey Fine doing as soon as he got on the scene? What did he tell Investigator Robert Drum as soon as he got on the scene? And we're going to get to the bottom of what is this prosecutor in the background doing when her officers are falsifying this case. I look through this body cam and what I see is Officer Casey Fine with other officers. Every time they interact with Officer Casey Fine, they mute their body cam. By the way, it's illegal for them to mute their body cam. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, during a Brady motion, tells Judge Carol Weimer, when Mustafa's defense attorney brought this up, that these body cams are muted. She tells Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, the police body cam, when the officer shows up on scene, when he turns on the body cam, it takes a minute to buffer. She's telling that to Judge Carol Weimer. Now, Judge Carol Weimer used to be a Prince William County police officer. He knows how body cam works. What Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is talking about, when you turn on your body cam, there's a buffer about a minute. But not all throughout the whole body cam. What we see here is a body cam completely muted, officers reaching and muting their body cam. And at one point, the body cam is completely muted as it's been redacted by the police department before uploaded to the server. Some body cams are cut into portions, uploaded to the server. Clearly, these body cams are edited and muted by the officers. Now, Judge Carol Weimer used to be a Prince William County police officer. He knows how body cams work. And he called her out on what she said. And he told her to go to the police department, internal affairs, and release the missing body cams. You can't trust a prosecutor that's already lied about this case, that's coaching and telling officers what to do on how to go about falsifying this case. You have to release her communications to get to the bottom of which body cam is missing, what was said, and every point throughout this investigation. Clearly, these officers are being guided into doing what they're doing. You have Officer Casey Fines, who has his body cam completely muted, and the other officer, every time they interact with him, they immediately mute. And what you see, when he got on scene, one body cam captured Officer Casey Fine telling Investigator Robert Drum that Mustafa is on drugs. He put a label on Mustafa, giving the whole investigation a bias. Now, Mustafa lost his family in that vehicle accident. Mustafa was in and out of consciousness, went into a complete coma, was helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa lost his girlfriend and her 5-year-old baby in that accident. When you have Officer Casey Fine show up and immediately tell the main investigator that Mustafa is on drugs, you just inserted a bias. You have Investigator Robert Drum say, whatever the fuck Mustafa goes, I want a blood draw. And it didn't stop there. You have Officer Casey Fine and is seen throughout the whole entire body cam going and making contact with witnesses, handing them witness statements, talking to them, all while having his body cam muted. And clearly, the other officers, as soon as they make contact with Officer Casey Fine, they immediately mute their body cam. And the assignment is clear. I mean, if you have Officer Casey Fine telling the main investigator that Mustafa is on drugs, what do you think Officer Casey Fine is telling the witnesses that's on the scene? Mustafa's on drugs. That's what he's telling the witnesses. Mustafa's on drugs. A mother and her baby died. It's up to you to put him away. That's what he's telling other people, the witnesses on the scene. The same thing he's telling the investigator. He's telling them the same thing. We're going to go through these body cams. And the only way you can get to the bottom of what actually took place is by releasing the communication from the prosecutor Sarah Sammy. The only way we're going to know exactly what pieces of evidence is missing from this case, what communication took between the prosecutor, Sarah Sammy, between the officers, between the witnesses, is by releasing the communication. And Mustafa's defense is entitled. Brad Hayward, Mustafa's lawyer, is entitled to that communication. It's a case law out of the Supreme Court, Brady versus Maryland. Once you find out that there is a bias, that this investigation is steered in a certain direction against Mustafa because of a bias, then you have to release the communication. You pedal back and you look at the whole thing. Who is Mustafa? Who is Mustafa for this officer to show up and say he's on drugs? Well, when you find out that Mustafa had a $500,000 lawsuit against the police before the vehicle accident, he had a $500,000 lawsuit against the police. He gets in a vehicle accident. You have officers that show up. One says he's on drugs. Another officer says, we've been briefed about Mustafa. And then goes and mutes his body cam. I think Mustafa's defense is entitled to that communication. Why is there a bias against Mustafa? So, you sue the police, you get in a vehicle accident, and now the police are taking advantage of the vehicle accident. Every detail showed that this is a car accident, and that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. You have police that falsified Mustafa's statement. You have officers that cut and mute the dash camera. You have the police department crush and stage the vehicle. The children are weaponized. Witnesses are being suppressed and coerced. A case that's sealed. Where is Jason Miyares from this case? It's all over the internet. I mean, every video I release is hitting 6,000 views up to 70,000 views. You can't tell me that Jason Miyares doesn't know about the case of Mustafa Al-Jazairi. Forget the case of Mustafa Al-Jazairi. Let's talk about the case of Tatiana David. Not only do I have Mustafa's case, I have other cases. One of them is Tatiana David. Tatiana David, 2.5 years ago, they told us on the news, police told us through the news, that they found Tatiana David outside her vehicle. That the boyfriend is the one that shot her off of I-95. This is a girl out of Ithaca, New York, that the police are telling us we found her outside the vehicle. Tatiana David. It was all over the news 2.5 years ago. Well, I have a body cam that we've already released that shows not only did the police put 50 bullets into that vehicle, the police are seen to be dragging Tatiana David from her vehicle to outside the vehicle, away from the vehicle, only to say, we found her outside the car. Is that not a cover-up? Where is Jason Miyares? He's nowhere to be found. But he's asking this community to vote him in as our Attorney General. And he goes on and he says, I'm a people protector. He gave himself a title. How are you a people protector? How exactly are you protecting this community? You know, Jay Jones, in that debate, he says that Jason Miyares is nothing more than a cheerleader for President Trump. Absolutely. That is absolutely true. We'll get into the details of what Jason Miyares does, what President Trump does, what Jay Jones. We'll get into what came out of this debate at another podcast. What I want to focus on is Exhibit 4. Now, I have an audio from court where Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling the judge, Your Honor, I have witnesses that witnesses are saying, all the witnesses are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Well, that's interesting. Let's find out if this prosecutor is telling the truth. Because I have her file. I have the body cams. I've released those body cams on the internet. I have her voice and what she said in court. And I have the body cams. So let's verify if this prosecutor is telling the truth. Let's find out if the witnesses are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. I think that's a good way to investigate this case. Let's hear what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is talking about. So if you go on Not Another Boring Podcast, there is a playlist called Police Body Cams, Mustafa Al-Jazairi. Let's click on that. All right. So General District Court bond hearing, August 7, 2023. If you click on that, there is a specific time.
If you live in a Virginia zip code,
let's wait for this commercial.
And have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years.
All right. So for the most part, if you go in the comment section, what I've done, I put a number of timestamps. If you go specifically to timestamp 26 and 5 seconds, you'll hear Sarah Sammy talk about witnesses. Let's hear what Sarah Sammy have to say about the witnesses on the scene, and then we'll go through the body cams and hear what the witnesses are actually saying. And what you'll find is that all the witnesses are saying we didn't see anything. And then you have two witnesses. One says, I saw the accident. Mustafa cleared the SUV all the way to the 4th lane, and the SUV turned and slammed into Mustafa. You have another witness that says, I heard Mustafa slam on his brakes. Let's see if Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling the truth.
Your Honor, this case, this defendant stands charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter on April 5th of 2023.
At the time, Mustafa was originally charged with involuntary manslaughter. And what's disturbing is they charge him with DUI manslaughter. Mustafa's toxicology show no alcohol and no drugs. So how could you charge him with DUI manslaughter and hold him from April 5th, April 7th, all the way to October? In October, evidence came out that this investigator falsified Mustafa's statements. There's an audio recording between the investigator and Mustafa that Mustafa never said I was arguing inside the vehicle. That this investigator simply falsified Mustafa's statements. That the warrant was falsified. Immediately, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth drops the DUI manslaughter and upgrades it to murder within 5 days. Retaliates to protect her police officers.
This defendant and his then-girlfriend Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter Empress Fontaine were headed to the cemetery in the early evening hours. The defendant, as the court saw in the videos, already entered into evidence with the driver of the vehicle. Miss Dorothy Fontaine, his girlfriend, was seated in the right passenger seat, and Empress Fontaine, Dorothy's 5-year-old daughter, was seated directly behind Dorothy. Your Honor, There is a number of revelations came to light after this incident. There are a number of eyewitnesses that have indicated they saw this vehicle, the defendant's vehicle, all of a sudden cross into the intersection and go into oncoming traffic. And that's when this defendant's vehicle was struck directly on the right-hand side where Dorothy and Empress were sitting by the Chevy Tahoe that the court has a picture of in evidence currently. Your Honor, under 19.2.120, the court has to make a determination. The only reason why we're here today is to determine whether there's probable cause to believe that the defendant is at risk of flight or his liberty will constitute a danger to himself or to the public.
All right, so we heard this prosecutor says that the witnesses are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic and the SUV that the SUV Mustafa maneuvered the vehicle to have his vehicle get crushed by the SUV where his girlfriend sits, the front passenger, and the back passenger. That's what she said. That's what we heard. We heard her say, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling the judge that Mustafa had his vehicle get crushed by the SUV, and specifically where his girlfriend sits and 5-year-old Empress sits. So the front passenger and the back passenger. What if I show you a body cam where Investigator Davis is talking about that we, the police, had the fire department crush Dorothy's side, the front passenger. Wait a minute. Hold on now. You're charging Mustafa with murder. So if there's evidence that Mustafa cleared the SUV, that would mean he's avoiding the vehicle accident. But if his girlfriend's side is crushed, then he's not avoiding the vehicle accident. You're charging him with murder. Let's watch a body cam. 2 body cams. One, Investigator Davis, during a vehicle inspection, talk about that we had the fire department crush Dorothy's side, the front passenger. So that would mean that it's not crushed by the SUV. That Mustafa cleared his vehicle enough that the passenger is not crushed. I have a witness on the scene that says Mustafa cleared the SUV all the way far over to the 4th lane, and the SUV turned and slammed into Mustafa. Wait a minute. Mustafa is being charged with murder. Evidence show in the sealed file that Mustafa cleared the SUV. As a matter of fact, the radiator flush is on the 4th lane. Mustafa cleared the SUV completely, and the SUV turned into the 4th lane, into Mustafa. The point of impact is in the 4th lane. The impact to Mustafa's vehicle is the back quarter panel of the vehicle. The SUV turned into the 4th lane, into Mustafa, into the back quarter panel of the vehicle. This prosecutor is telling the judge completely different. What she's telling him is something completely different. She's telling him that that Mustafa never cleared the SUV, that Mustafa maneuvered the vehicle into oncoming traffic for the SUV to crush his girlfriend, the front passenger, to crush 5-year-old Empress, who sits in the back seat. Well, let's watch a body cam to see if the police department crushed Dorothy's side. I have a body cam where Investigator Davis is talking about we, the police department, had the fire department crush Dorothy's side for us.
We also, well,
The other thing too that I forgot to tell you, we put this could have taken this into account. The fire department cut the top off for us. They also rolled the steering wheel forward so we could get the box out. So they had their big hydraulic thing set up right like where the B pillar would be, pushing the front forward. So I guess that could that have caused the lengthening of the car per se?
Absolutely.
Okay. I actually didn't even think about that until just now. When they rolled out that forward, that would have pushed. Yeah, because I'll show you what they did. They cut here on both of them, and then put their machine here, and then pushed the whole front forward to get this out of the way so that we could get the box out.
Okay, yeah, that's very well.
Did you see where he pointed? He pointed to Dorothy's the front passenger, to where Dorothy sits. I'm going to rewind that just a little bit.
Both of them, and then put their machine here, and then push the whole front forward, and then put their machine here, and then push.
You see where he's pointing? I'm going to zoom in. That's where Investigator Davis is pointing out. Right there. That's Dorothy, where Dorothy sits. That's the front passenger. So he's talking about that he had the fire department, the police had the fire department, put hydraulics where the front passenger side is, and they cut the roof, that they put hydraulics to roll the vehicle forward. Well, now we have Dorothy's sides crushed. The prosecutor is telling us that Dorothy's side is crushed because of the impact. That's not true. The fire department crushed that side. And he tells the police mechanic on this body cam that the reason they did that is because they wanted access into the ACM. Well, I'm going to go over pictures of the vehicle at the scene after the accident, that the vehicle was not caved in. You had access to the ACM. No, you are crushing and staging the vehicle for that prosecutor to tell the judge in court that Mustafa maneuvered the vehicle, never cleared the SUV to have his girlfriend crushed. That's not true. You crushed the vehicle. And the question is, on this body cam, we see Investigator Davis update Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. What did they talk about? Is she instructing the police department to crush and stage the vehicle? Well, we'll find out when we get her communication. She wants to tell the judge, I have no idea what the police department is doing. As a matter of fact, in court, she says there's nothing wrong with Mustafa's vehicle. We're going to go over a body cam where it shows that the police mechanic found brake failure. Let's continue watching this body cam.
The whole front forward to get this out of the way so that we could get the box out.
Okay, yeah, that's very well could have made the length long.
Yeah. What was that?
That's because of that.
Yeah, but that could have pushed all that. That could have made the length of the car longer, made that drivetrain fall out too. And it caused that to push forward also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that was.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you that. We also, well, it's out of the way so that we.
What you see here. So I'm going to zoom in. This is the passenger side. So Investigator Davis is telling the police mechanic that they had the fire department put hydraulics here, crushing Dorothy's side. Now, Mustafa cleared the SUV into the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into the fourth lane, into Mustafa. And you can see where the SUV impacted Mustafa's car. That right there is the back quarter panel of the vehicle. She turns into Mustafa, striking the back quarter panel of Mustafa's vehicle. Mustafa is being charged with murder. Evidence show that Mustafa made it to the fourth lane. How could you charge Mustafa with murder if he's avoiding the vehicle accident? If he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident? What you have here is the police stage and crush the vehicle only for this prosecutor to say that Mustafa maneuvered the vehicle and had his girlfriend's side crushed. He never cleared the vehicle. What I find disturbing is the pictures at the scene. The pictures at the scene. After the vehicle accident, I have pictures that show that they have access to the ACM. Why did they crush this car? The only reason that they crushed this car is to stage it. Let's watch the pictures at the scene after the accident. And let's watch the pictures of the vehicle at the police department. And you tell me, are they staging the vehicle? These are, let's see if we go over. See if I can pull up the pictures.
Okay.
There we go. This is a picture of the vehicle at the scene after the accident. This investigator is telling us, Investigator Davis on body cam just got done telling the police mechanic during a vehicle inspection that the reason they crushed the vehicle and had it roll, they put the hydraulic at the passenger side, Mustafa's girlfriend's side, the front passenger, and they rolled the vehicle, they cut the roof, is because they wanted access to the ACM. The ACM is right here. Right there. Right there is where the ACM. I don't see a vehicle caved in that you don't have access to the ACM. You clearly have access to the ACM. Why did you crush the vehicle? So this is the pictures of the vehicle at the scene after the vehicle accident. Well, let's go over pictures of the vehicle at the police department. At the police department, this is the vehicle still intact. You can see the roof. You can see the front. The vehicle still intact. Okay, you can see the roof. You can see the vehicle is not caved in. The ACM is right there. Clearly have access to the ACM. This is inside the police department. The ACM is right there. Clearly have access to the ACM. The ACM, the computer, the box is under the shifter. It's a plastic piece. So you pop it up, and then you unclip the ACM. Now, why are they doing this to the car? We just heard Investigator Davis tell the police mechanic that we had the fire department. That's the fire department. Cut the roof for us. They're cutting the roof. They cut the roof. Why are they cutting the roof? Why are they putting hydraulic to crush the front passenger? Why are they doing this to the vehicle? You clearly have... Oh, that's Investigator Davis. Interesting. You can't tell me to get access to the ACM. The ACM is right there. Right there. You have access to the ACM. No, you're crushing the vehicle and you're staging it. Now that we have these pictures, we looked at the pictures at the scene after the accident. We looked at pictures of the vehicle inside the police department where they're chopping up at the vehicle. They're crushing Dorothy's side. Let's listen to that body cam one more time. And we'll go back to what the prosecutor is talking about. and we'll hear the witness and what the witness on scene is talking about.
The other thing, we also, well, the other thing too that I forgot to tell you, we put this could have taken this into account. The fire department cut the the top off for us. They also rolled the steering wheel forward so we could get the box out. So they had their big hydraulic, thing set up right, like where the B pillar would be, pushing the front forward. So I guess that could that have caused the lengthening of the car per se?
Absolutely.
Okay. I actually didn't even think about that until just now. When they rolled out that forward, that would have pushed. Yeah, because I'll show you what they did. They cut here on both of them, and then put their machine here, and then pushed the whole front forward to get this out of the way so that we could get the box out.
Okay, yeah, that would have made the length longer.
Yeah.
You put your machine where exactly?
Their machine here.
Oh, right there where the front passenger is at. Interesting. So you crushed Dorothy's sides. And now the prosecutor wants to tell us that Mustafa never cleared the SUV and he had it crushed. He maneuvered the vehicle, slowed it enough to have the vehicle, the SUV, crush his girlfriend. What are we watching here? One, this investigator is lying about the ACM and why they cut the vehicle. No, you crushed and staged that car. Let's listen to what the witness is telling us. On the body cam, the prosecutor wants to tell us that all the witnesses are telling me that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic only to have his girlfriend and 5-year-old baby get crushed. The front passenger and the back passenger is completely crushed. Mustafa had this load enough to be crushed by the SUV. That's what she's telling us. Well, it's interesting because I have a body cam where the witness says that Mustafa cleared the SUV.
Can I get a phone number for you, sir?
Yeah, it's 571-389-4540.
I'll let you work on that. Can I talk to you for a quick second over here? Can you just tell me what you saw?
Yeah, so the Chrysler over there was coming this way.
Which way? Sorry.
Coming this direction. We were going this direction. We had the green light. This car was in front of me. And I saw the Chrysler just randomly. He wasn't even in the turn lane. He just darted over directly in front of this car.
Okay.
And so she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side. So she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
She slammed into him. He made it far enough all the way into the right side. All the way into the 4th lane. Let's listen to what the prosecutor tells the judge one more time. And we're going to go back into what this witness is talking about. Didn't Prosecutor Sarah Sammy tell the judge that I have witnesses and all my witnesses are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic, had his girlfriend in the front passenger seat, and has the 5-year-old baby in the back passenger crushed by the SUV. This witness is talking about that Mustafa cleared the vehicle all the way to the 4th lane, that the SUV turned into Mustafa. Let's listen to what the prosecutor is talking about.
If you can't quit the P word, I want to let you know that Scripture tells us that
Your Honor, in this case, this defendant stands charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. On April 5th of 2023, this defendant and his then-girlfriend Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter Empress Fontaine were headed to the cemetery in the early evening hours. The defendant, as the court saw in the videos, already entered into evidence with the driver of the vehicle. Miss Dorothy Fontaine, his girlfriend, was seated in the right passenger seat, and Empress Fontaine, Dorothy's 5-year-old daughter, was seated directly behind Dorothy. Your Honor, there is a number of revelations came to light after this incident. There are a number of eyewitnesses that have indicated they saw this vehicle, the defendant's vehicle, all of a sudden crossing to the intersection and go into oncoming traffic, and that's when this defendant's vehicle was struck directly on the right-hand side where Dorothy and Empress were sitting by the Chevy Tahoe that the court has a picture of in evidence currently. Your Honor, under 19-2-120,
Is this prosecutor lying to the judge in court? How convenient that she can say whatever she wants and no one can verify what she's telling the judge because the case is sealed. Well, it's no longer sealed. We can jump into those body cams that you've been hiding for the past 2.5 years and verify that you're lying to us. This witness is telling us.
She slammed him far enough over that it hit the right side. So she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
We're going to listen to that one more time.
Far enough. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side. He wasn't even in the turn lane. He just darted over directly in front of this car. Okay. And so she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side. So she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
So he goes all the way to the 4th lane and the SUV turns into Mustafa. What this witness says is nowhere in the reports. Nowhere in the reports. Nowhere in the whole entire case. The only time you actually hear what this witness is talking about is through the police body cam. The sealed body cam. The body cam they've been hiding for 2.5 years. We have another witness. This prosecutor tells the judge that Mustafa didn't do anything to avoid a vehicle accident. So why do I have a witness that says that Mustafa hit the brake? That I heard that Mustafa hit the brake. I heard him hit the brake. Listen.
137 to 480.
Hi. Did one of you guys see the crash?
We didn't actually see it. He was driving right behind us. So
The Charger? Or the Chrysler?
we heard it and turned around, and I was the only one who could get on with 911. So
What happened? Like, did you see
he
him?
was coming this way. We heard brake skid, and
We heard brake skids. You're charging Mustafa with murder? Let's hear that one more time.
What happened? Like, did you see
he
him?
was coming this way. We heard brake skid, and we looked back, and
What lane were you guys driving in?
I was in the far.
You're charging Mustafa with murder. And what you're saying is that Mustafa never did anything to avoid a vehicle accident. That's interesting. I have the computer inside the vehicle that shows that his foot was on the brake the whole entire time. I have witnesses that say, I heard brake skids, that Mustafa was hitting the brake. You have a witness, another witness that says Mustafa cleared the SUV all the way into the 4th lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa. But in court, you're telling the judge that your witnesses are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic, never cleared the SUV, Your Honor. That Mustafa had his vehicle crushed by the SUV, specifically where his girlfriend sits, the front passenger. Specifically where his 5-year-old, the 5-year-old baby sits right behind her in the back passenger. We just heard the body cam where the police crushed Dorsey's side. We just heard the body cam that the witness is talking about Mustafa cleared the SUV and the SUV turned into Mustafa in the 4th lane. We just heard a witness say that Mustafa hit the brake. Well, did your police department inspect Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure? Let's watch a police body cam where the police department inspects Mustafa's vehicle and they find brake failure.
Brake, didn't engage.
Brake did not engage. Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time, and the vehicle would not stop. Let's hear that one more time.
Brake, didn't engage.
Immediately after Investigator Davis, after the police mechanic is telling him that they found brake failure, 2 of the calipers did not work. The front passenger, the back passenger, the calipers were not working. There's brake failure. You heard Investigator Davis tell Investigator Rob, the same investigator that's on scene, talking about, we've been briefed about Mustafa. What have you been briefed about Mustafa? And then mutes his body cam as soon as he got on scene. He's talking about pumping money into the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case. Let's hear that body cam. Pumping money, spending money out of his pocket into the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case.
Okay. Did you do anything inappropriate to it?
Did you do anything inappropriate to Mustafa Al-Jazairi's vehicle? Investigator Davis, the same investigator that just got done telling us that we crushed the vehicle. We, the police, had the fire department crush the vehicle for us, only to stage the vehicle, is now talking about telling Investigator Rob, hey, did you do anything inappropriate to Mustafa's vehicle? And then he goes on and tell him, I have an idea to employ into this case, but it's going to require spending money. Spending money? You're going to pump money into the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case? Let's hear Investigator Davis, in his own word, tell us that he has an idea to employ and pump money into the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case.
So again, nothing froze. Steering wheel is moving. What? I'm going to figure out that brake issue, and then then I'll be done.
He's going to figure out the brake issue, and then he'll be done. He's panicking on what to do. And then you'll see him call the prosecutor. We have a body cam where he notifies the prosecutor, calls her. What communication took between him and the prosecutor when he found brake failure? Because the prosecutor in court is telling the judge there is nothing wrong with Mustafa's vehicle when I have a body cam that shows Mustafa's vehicle had brake failure. Oh, I guess the prosecutor is comfortable that this is not going to come out because the case is sealed. No one can verify that Mustafa had brake failure. She's too comfortable. Well, Brady versus Maryland entitles Mustafa's defense to the communication. Specifically, when you find that there is a bias in this whole entire case. These investigators are targeting Mustafa, talking about putting a label on Mustafa, talking about pumping money into Mustafa's case, crushing and staging Mustafa's car, falsifying his statements.
Hey, Rob, remind me to tell you I had an idea about this case that I thought we should imply. Imply? Is that the word? Employ. It would take spending money, though. Take what? Spending money.
It would take spending money. Remind me about an idea I have into this case. But it's going to take spending money. You're going to take money out of your pocket and pump it into the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case. And then immediately you'll hear him call the prosecutor, update the prosecutor.
here and then pushed the whole front forward.
They want to tell us that the prosecutor in court tells Judge Carol Weimer that she has no idea what the officers are doing on the scene, has no idea. She didn't communicate with the officers. That she has no idea what these officers are doing when they weaponize the children, when they crushed and staged the vehicle. She says she doesn't know. She has no idea. Well, when I go through the body cams, I'm seeing those officers are updating you every step of the way. So what communication took place when you found out that Mustafa's vehicle had brake failure? What communication took place between you and Investigator Romero when the children were being weaponized?
To get this out of the way. So okay. Did you do anything inappropriate to it?
I have a body cam where they're updating Sarah Sammy.
The other thing too that I
think this is it. This should be the body cam where they update Sarah Sammy on what is going on while they're inspecting Mustafa's vehicle. While the police are inspecting Mustafa's vehicle.
Before we leave, let's call Sarah and tell her what we did and make sure before we put anything back, or actually, can you call her now? That way you can tell her what we've done.
So they're updating the prosecutor Sarah Sammy, every step of the way. Now, forget the body cams. We have multiple body cams where she's being updated. I have the whole entire discovery. We're going to go through that discovery, page by page, identify every point that she's being updated. And what you see is disturbing. This prosecutor is being updated every step of the way. And she wants to tell Judge Carol Weimer that she was never updated what her police officers are doing, that she has no idea. This prosecutor is being updated every step of the way. And the fact that we have the body cams and the discovery, this is a nail in the coffin. This is the nail in the coffin. You're not going to leave it to the discretion of the prosecutor to identify which body cams is missing. A prosecutor that's been lying about the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case for the past 2 years, 2.5 years. Because she's been lying about the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case. Evidence show that not only does she know, but she's instructing officers on how to falsify the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case and remove and manipulate evidence. And in the process, weaponized the children. A 9, a 10, a 14. Weaponized children against Mustafa. Children that loved Mustafa. Children that needed Mustafa in their most vulnerable state. We have Google in this video that showed the children loved Mustafa. They needed Mustafa. But instead, you have Investigator Romero, with the help of Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, weaponizing the children against Mustafa. Is this not child abuse? That's child abuse. You're abusing a 9, a 10, a 14. Whatever it takes, you have to get Mustafa. Clear bias in this entire case that's steering the investigation away from what actually took place. This is a vehicle accident. Every detail showed that this is a vehicle accident. Because of the bias, evidence is being manipulated, statements are being falsified, children are abused, vehicle crushed and staged. A complete bias in this whole entire case. Mustafa's defense is entitled to the prosecutor communication so we can get to the bottom of what took place in this case. Now, when you go into Exhibit 4, the prosecutor wants to tell you that I have witnesses that will say that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Well, why is it that when I go through the body cam, Exhibit 4, I'm watching none of these witnesses that's there, they all say we didn't see anything. But you have a prosecutor that says, my witnesses say that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. You can't verify what the prosecutor says because the case is sealed. Well, now it's not sealed. Now we have the body cam. We're going to go one body cam at a time, one section at a time. And we're going to go through and see what these witnesses are saying. And then we get to those two witnesses that actually say Mustafa cleared the SUV. Another witness said, I heard Mustafa hit the brake. I heard his brake skids. All right, so let's go through the first section where the first witness tell the officer, I didn't see anything. Now, what you see through these body cams is Officer Casey Fines in the background. Of course, Officer Casey Fines put a label on Mustafa, and he says that Mustafa is on drugs. As soon as he gets on scene, as soon as the main investigator is on scene, he's telling the main investigator that Mustafa is on drugs. Immediately puts a label on Mustafa. Mustafa's toxicology show no drugs, no alcohol. This is Mustafa's toxicology. That's Mustafa's toxicology. Blood alcohol non-detected, no alcohol in his system. You go over THC 0.00003. And this is the foundation of the whole entire case. They want to tell you that Mustafa is arguing inside the vehicle with his girlfriend. Well, that's interesting. When you open the dash camera, and we have the dash camera, you see that Mustafa and his girlfriend are passing back and forth a cigarette 6 times. Not once, not twice, 6 times. His girlfriend has cancer. And because of her cancer, she smokes hemp. Hemp doesn't have THC, doesn't make you high, doesn't have drugs. The toxicology report show that what they're smoking inside the vehicle is hemp. There's no THC, 0.0003. The foundation of the case is the fact that they're passing back and forth a cigarette, a hemp cigarette. Now, the prosecutor hides the dash camera and tells this community that Mustafa is arguing with his girlfriend. You have investigator Robert Drum falsify Mustafa's statements. You have investigator Chad Mason, who already admitted to cutting and muting the dash camera. And now they're still terrified from this dash camera because even with the cut audio, you see that Mustafa and Dorothy are passing back and forth a cigarette. How could they be arguing if they're passing back and forth a cigarette? And the way Dorothy feels Mustafa's finger as she takes a cigarette, it shows how much she loves him. We're going to go into the dash camera in detail. And show why this Commonwealth attorney is so terrified. I mean, 2.5 years since she hasn't released a dash camera. And now her officer is talking about cutting and muting the dash camera. You have evidence that the other officer, Robert Drum, falsified Mustafa's statements. Well, no wonder they're terrified from this dash camera, because on dash camera, you see that Mustafa and Dorothy are passing back and forth a cigarette. So you have a toxicology that show no alcohol and no drugs. We go back to what Officer Casey Fine is telling the main investigator. As soon as the main investigator gets on the scene, he puts a label on Mustafa. He tells him that Mustafa is on drugs and steers the whole investigation into the main investigator, Robert Drum, says, wherever the fuck Mustafa goes, I want a blood draw. And he condemns Mustafa is at fault. They haven't investigated the scene. They haven't looked at the computer inside the car. They haven't looked at the dash camera. They haven't even got the Mustafa's toxicology. They condemned Mustafa guilty as soon as they got on the scene because Officer Casey Fines put a label on Mustafa. Is that not a bias? Absolutely, that's a bias. I mean, you ask yourself, why is this case sealed? It's sealed because When you watch these body cam, you see what they're doing. They're falsifying the whole entire case. I mean, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell us her witnesses will say that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Well, let's see and hear from the first witness.
I got you. The one that called it in. You got probably a pretty obvious DOA in the Chrysler. Okay. 26-year-old female. Looks like a 5-year-old girl. She might be not doing good. Did you see the crash occur? No, I think I believe so. Okay. Well, SUV.
I didn't see the crash occur. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, this witness says, I didn't see the crash occur. So what are you doing telling the judge in court that your witnesses saw that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic? All right. So that's witness one. Let's continue watching.
Whoa. Did any of y'all see the crash?
I just heard it. I just heard it. Black beam and I saw it. Hold on. I'm going to grab my glasses. I got you.
No one over here saw it. Okay, thank you.
No one over here saw the accident. Sarah! Oh, you're comfortable because the case is sealed. No one is going to see the body cam. Well, ma'am, I've reached all the way through your asshole, got into the server of the police department, evidence.com, got this file, and now I'm releasing it all over the internet, and it fucking stinks. Clearly showed that you've lied in this case. You're telling the judge what exactly? Your witnesses are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. So we just watched 2 body cam, and none of these witnesses are talking about seeing Mustafa drive into oncoming traffic. Let's continue watching.
Yeah.
This is the SUV driver, and right next to her is a bystander. What I find really weird is the bystander is also a nurse. The SUV driver is a nurse. The bystander is a nurse. There's another nurse on the scene. A whole bunch of nurses on the scene, and I can't make sense of it. Maybe you can help me make sense of it. I mean, this lady is pretending that she doesn't know the SUV driver, but clearly when you watch the body cam, clearly there's a relationship between her and the SUV driver. She's pretending that she's a bystander, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's not what it looks like. Are we not entitled into the SUV? Is Mustafa's defense not entitled into the SUV's communication at the scene when the scene happened? Absolutely. What did the SUV driver say? Who did she call? What did she text? And what communication took place? I mean, that's exculpatory evidence. Especially when the witness is talking about that Mustafa cleared the SUV and the SUV, this driver, turned into Mustafa. And what you see is that she's a PLS patient, identified by a paramedic, that she's a PLS patient, that she was on heavy medication that day. She's not supposed to be on the road. And PLS patient, for those that don't know what condition is a PLS, you have weak extremities, upper, lower. And I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm saying that she reacted and turned into the 4th lane. She contributed to the accident. Absolutely, she contributed to the accident. Mustafa cleared the SUV and she turned into Mustafa. Never hit the brake. She was speeding. The computer in her vehicle showed she never applied the brake. She never hit the brake and she was speeding. Did she not contribute to the accident? Hello? Absolutely.
It does. I know. Are y'all? Yeah, it does. I know. Are y'all okay?
She is the driver for this one.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, have medics come to talk to you?
Not yet.
Okay.
She is trying to call her husband and her mom.
Okay.
But nobody's going to talk to her.
Okay, just sit tight. We got to take care of what we got going on over there, and we'll come and make sure she's okay. Were you involved in the crash?
No, my truck. We heard it from.
Okay, you didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it. I just heard it.
Another witness that say they did not see it. Sarah, do you still want to tell the judge that your witnesses saw Mustafa go into oncoming traffic?
Okay. Ma'am, are you okay? What hurts?
Yeah. They had to pull me out of the airbags.
Was she walking?
I was locked in the car.
She's walking? Okay. I'll give her a minute to calm down and I'll come over and talk to her. If you don't mind hanging out with her, that'd be awesome.
Here you'll see this officer walk up to a white vehicle, and let's hear if this witness saw that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic, because the prosecutor in court is telling us that she has witnesses. The witnesses on scene are saying that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Let's hear what this witness has to say.
Turned down towards Dumfries. What's the prosecutor that crash?
Ma'am, were you involved in the crash?
I was not. I'm just upset seeing that baby.
Okay.
I saw the SUV go airborne and I saw that go flight. I didn't see how it happened.
Okay.
I didn't see how it happened. I didn't see the accident. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy tells the judge that I have witnesses that saw Mustafa drive into oncoming traffic. This is what now? The fourth, fifth witness that didn't see the accident? How convenient. This prosecutor wants to lie to the judge. By the way, 2.5 years in solitary confinement. Every time there's a bond motion, the prosecutor repeats what she's talking about. I have witnesses, Your Honor, that saw Mustafa drive into oncoming traffic, and you can't verify none of it. But today we can. We hear her voice in court, and we actually get to watch the body cam. And we're walking up on the witness that actually did see what happened. And he tells us Mustafa cleared the SUV, made it all the way to the fourth lane, and the SUV slammed into him, turned into Mustafa. How do you charge this guy with murder? His foot is on the brake the whole entire time. He clears all the vehicle, makes it to the fourth lane. The SUV turns into him. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that he avoided the vehicle accident? Oh, you sealed off the case, and now you get to say whatever you want. Your officers are falsifying the case for you. You get to lie in court. The case is sealed. Who's going to verify any of it?
I'm a grandma and a mom. I saw that go flight. I didn't see how it happened.
Okay.
I'm a grandma and a mom.
I got you. Listen, just who are you talking to on the phone?
I saw my husband leave on the golf course.
Okay. If you need to step away or look away, just do that, okay? Are you willing to give me a statement of what happened or what you saw?
I am, yeah, but I just saw.
And then you have Officer Casey Fine, and you'll see him in the background. We're going to keep going through those body cam. You have Officer Casey Fine in the background making contact. He has his body cam muted, making contact with each witness. He's on a mission. And this officer and other officer know as soon as they see him, they're going to mute. They're going to mute their body cam. He's on a mission. What mission is Casey Fine on? What mission is Officer Casey Fine on? Oh, wait a minute. So he tells and labels Mustafa as being on drugs. He tells the main investigator. And if he's telling the main investigator that Mustafa is on drugs, you don't think he's going to this lady who already we see very emotional after being at the scene? He's telling her, it's up to you. A mother and a daughter just lost their life because of Mustafa. Mustafa is on drugs. You don't think Officer Casey Fine is telling her that? And what do you think is going to happen to her statement? Is she going to change her statement? Because you have a police officer with a badge and uniform telling her it's up to you. You can get this guy. You can get justice. That's not coercion. That's not coercing the witness. Absolutely. Absolutely. She just told you she didn't see what happened. And Prosecutor Sammy is hoping that she's going to bring these people in. The case is sealed. No one can verify that they initially said we didn't see anything. That they're going to tell these people, we need you to get this guy off the street. I mean, you have Officer Casey Fine telling the main investigator Mustafa is on drugs. Absolutely, he's telling this lady the same thing. And that's why you have their statement change. Their statement is changing. But if it wasn't for us having these body cams, we can't verify that these individuals didn't see anything.
The SUV go airborne this way, and that car go that, but I didn't see him hit. I don't know how it happened.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Just stay in your car for me for now, and we'll come and talk to you.
This body cam, you have this officer walk up to a blue vehicle and he asks the blue vehicle, did you see anything? Let's see if they say that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling us that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic, that she has witnesses that will testify to Mustafa driving into oncoming traffic. Let's hear the witness in the blue car, if they're going to tell us that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. I mean, going throughout this whole entire case, my problem with this whole entire case is that they've been lying every step of the way. That I have evidence that showed this is a car accident. I mean, if I were to open the body cam and see that this witness is telling me that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic, I would shut down this podcast, I would shut down this channel, and I would shut the fuck up and stop talking about this case. But instead, what I see is a body cam that exonerates Mustafa. A prosecutor that's lying about Mustafa. Officers that completely falsified a whole entire case. This is a car accident. Let's watch what the witness in the blue vehicle tell us. Let's see if he tells us that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic like Prosecutor Sarah Sammy says.
Did you happen to see what happened with the crash? Okay. Okay. Did you happen to see what happened with the crash?
I did not see what happened. Prosecutor. Witness in the blue vehicle says, I did not see what happened. Let's watch another body cam where this officer walked
Did you see it?
On another vehicle.
Did you see the crash by chance?
In a black vehicle. And let's see if this witness tells us that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Let's see if he tells us what the prosecutor is telling us.
I looked down for a second because my son was over here, but then I heard the crash. So
okay, but you didn't actually see what occurred.
I didn't see the actual crash. So.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I didn't see what happened. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, the witnesses are not corroborating your story. Oh, you're comfortable? You were comfortable that the case is sealed. Well, now it's not sealed anymore. Where is Jason Miyares? Still worried about having us elect him as the next Attorney General. How could we elect you when you have a case right in front of you on your desk? By the way, all these body cams are on Jason Miyares' desk. You can't hide behind that the case is sealed. It's not sealed anymore. I mean, it's not sealed when when my hand is literally up the prosecutor asshole, literally taking files out of the police department server. And these files stink. They absolutely stink. Police misconduct, officer falsify this case, manipulate and weaponize the children. I have another file where the police murdered a black girl, Tatiana David. Where is Jason Miyares? Let's continue watching the rest of the clips. Let's see if another witness, this officer is going to walk up on. Let's see. He's going to walk up on a number of bystanders, and let's see if they say they saw the accident. Let's see if they corroborate the prosecutor story that her witnesses will testified to Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic.
How are you all doing? Did you all see what happened with the crash? Any of you?
Officer over here is talking to the two that saw
They actually saw it?
Yeah. I hear the noise. I hailed the driver. I don't know if the driver of his car.
Yeah.
I hailed it, put him on the floor, you know. He's good. He's good now.
Okay. All right.
What I found really interesting, so in this clip, the individual with a pink shirt says, "I didn't see what happened." In another body cam, after he talks to Casey Fines, after this officer talks to Officer Casey Fines, he mutes immediately. He goes back and talks to this individual, and he tells him, "Can you give me whatever statements, even if you didn't see anything? Even if you didn't see anything, I need a statement from you." What do you mean? What are you talking about? Officer Casey Fine is in the background. He's on a mission. He's making contact with every single person on the scene. All those bystanders, he's making contact with them. And he's telling them, it's up to you, not me as the police officer. It's up to you to get this monster off the street. A mother and her daughter who died. Mustafa's on drugs. We need you to write your statement that he drove into oncoming traffic. He's coercing the bystanders. He's coercing the witnesses. He's putting pressure on the witnesses and steering the investigation. I mean, you're telling them that Mustafa did this on purpose. Mustafa's toxicology report show no alcohol, no drugs, but yet you have an investigator that's lying to bystanders about Mustafa. And you can't tell me that he didn't. He's not doing that. You see through the body cam, his body cam is muted. You see that officers are muting as soon as they make contact with him. You see Officer Casey Fine is telling investigator Robert Drum, as soon as he got on scene, he told him Mustafa's on drugs. And if he told investigator Drum that Mustafa's on drugs, he's telling the witnesses the same thing. So we just heard the individual with the pink shirt. We just heard the individual with the pink shirt say, "I didn't see anything."
Hey, do you mind right now what you saw, even if it was minimal? As far as, just real quick, as far as the crash.
I give it to.
Did you already do one?
Do you mind writing anything, even if it's minimal? Do you mind giving me anything? Just write whatever to get this guy off the street. Give me whatever to get this monster off the street. You heard what Officer Casey Fine told you. He's on drugs. Can you give me whatever? Write me whatever on the statement. He's like, "I didn't see anything." Just give me whatever you want. Just write me something that can say that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. I didn't see anything. You're coercing the witnesses on the scene. You're manipulating the scene.
Okay. I'm going to make sure I get to talk to her. I thought, but I want to make sure. I think someone already talked to you all, but did you all see what happened with the crash?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm right here. I was right behind
Okay.
you. So literally.
Are you all willing to write out what happened? If I give you all a form? Okay.
This is the witness at 18 on the body cam exhibit 4. Witness at 1850. This is the witness that says, "I saw what happened. Mustafa cleared the SUV, made it to the 4th lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa." Why is this prosecutor admitting this out of the courts? So the body cam is sealed. It's nowhere in the police reports because Officer Casey Fine already talked to this individual. So whatever he told the officer initially, he didn't write it. Because he's being told that a mother and her baby lost their life because of Mustafa. He's being told that Mustafa is on drugs. It's up to him, not the police officer. It's up to him to get Mustafa off the street, to get justice for this mother and her baby. That Mustafa is on drugs. That's what Officer Casey Fine is telling him. That's why the statement doesn't show what he says here.
Get it straight. So the Chrysler is coming towards us. Not in the turn lane. He's in the straight lane. You have the green light. Was she in this lane?
She was in this lane. I was right
she was
behind
going straight.
Yeah.
And then he goes to make a U-turn.
I don't know what he was doing because he wasn't even in the turn lane. He just jumped.
Was he coming straight?
Is it maybe that he has brake failure? What did we watch earlier? On a body cam, this body cam show that Mustafa had brake failure. The other witness said, I heard brake skids. Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Mustafa's foot, the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle, showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. This body cam show that the police inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. Let's go back to the body cam really quick with the brake failure, and then we'll go back into this witness statement where he says Mustafa cleared the SUV into the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa.
Brake didn't engage.
Brake did not engage. There's a brake failure. Let's go back into the witness statement.
Can I get a phone number for you, sir?
Yeah, it's 571-389-4540.
I'll let you work on that. Can I talk to you for a quick second over here? Can you just tell me what you saw?
Yeah, so the Chrysler over there was coming this way.
Which way? Sorry.
Coming this direction. We were going this direction. We had the green light. This car was in front of me. And I saw the Chrysler just randomly. He wasn't even in the turn lane. He just darted over directly in front of this car.
Okay.
And so she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side. So she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
He made it far enough over. He made it far enough over into the fourth lane, and that she slammed into him. Mustafa sits in solitary confinement for the past 2.5 years. And you have a witness that's testifying to that he saw Mustafa clear the SUV. So wait a minute, how is this murder? If his foot is on the brake the whole entire time, he clears the SUV. What is this witness telling us? He clears the SUV. And the SUV turns into Mustafa. Oh, there's brake failure in the vehicle. Oh, this witness statement is no, you can't find it in any of the reports? Oh, Casey Fine talked to this individual to not write what he told the police initially. Interesting. Let's keep watching.
They're advising that they're going to be responding to a crash. What kind of equipment?
Oh, there we go. Casey Fines. I mean, take a look at Casey Fines and the relation that he has and he's built with the bystanders. Take a hard look at Casey Fines, and then we're going to hear what Casey Fines is telling the main investigator. And you want to tell me that Casey Fine is not telling the individuals at the scene the same thing he's telling the main investigator? If he's telling the main investigator that Mustafa's on drugs, absolutely he's telling the bystanders that Mustafa is on drugs. That a mother and a baby died. And it's up to you to get him off the street. It's up to you to get justice. This guy that sits in a coma and in a coma in front of his vehicle was on drugs. Don't feel bad for him. You see him on the floor in front of his vehicle in a coma. Don't feel bad for him. He's on drugs. A mother and a baby died. That's what Officer Casey Fines is doing. Let's watch the body cam. Take a hard look at the interaction and tell me that he's not telling these witnesses that Mustafa is on drugs. Even though the toxicology showed no alcohol and no drugs. This investigator is lying about Mustafa.
That they're going to be to the crash. What kind of equipment?
Well, here you go. Here's the form. Everything you saw, okay?
Sure.
Be as detailed as possible.
No, I'm seeing right now.
I got a pen and I got
a tow trailer
okay?
and 4520 maybe.
We're gonna watch this one more time.
That they're going to be to the crash. What kind of equipment?
Well, here you go. Here's the form. Everything you saw, okay?
Sure.
Be as detailed as possible.
No, I'm seeing right now.
I got a pen and I got
a tow trailer and 4520 maybe a little bit.
Hey, fine.
What's with the sarcastic look, Casey Fines? Officer Casey Fine, what's with the sarcastic look when you say details? Be as detailed as possible. He looks at her a certain way. She looks at him a certain way. And it sure looks like you got her on board. That it's up to her to get justice. You're telling her, you're putting a label on Mustafa that he's on drugs. Don't feel bad that Mustafa is laying in front of his vehicle in a coma.
Hey, do you mind right now?
Let's go to...
We're gonna talk to our thought, but I want to make sure.
That's Mustafa. That's Mustafa. This body cam is Mustafa in and out of consciousness, laying on the floor in front of his vehicle. And at one point, he goes into a complete coma. And he gets helicoptered to the hospital. So, Mustafa gets in a vehicle accident. He loses his family in a vehicle accident. He's in front of his vehicle on the floor. And in the background, you have Officer Casey Fine telling the main investigator that he's on drugs, even though his toxicology show that he's not on drugs. You have Officer Casey Fine manipulate the witnesses, lying to them against Mustafa, telling them that it's up to them to get justice. This guy is on drugs. That right there is Mustafa.
What do you find? Pretty much
that right there is Mustafa on the floor in front of his vehicle, in and out of consciousness, and then goes into a coma while Officer Casey Fine is taking advantage of the vehicle accident.
Crash.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to get a...
Someone was talking to the lady in the black shirt, right? Everyone's saying she saw what happened.
Yeah.
So
what is Officer Casey Fine looking for? The lady with the black shirt. The lady we just saw. This lady.
Did you see it?
We get it. Crash. What kind of equipment?
This lady, where he sarcastically tells her, I need you to write down every detail. Sarcastically talk about details. Let's listen.
Here you go. Here's the form. Everything you saw, okay?
Sure.
Be as detailed as possible.
No, I'm seeing right now.
I got a pen and I got a
tow trailer.
Okay?
That they're going to be to the crash. What kind of equipment?
Well, here you go. Here's the form. Everything you saw, okay?
Sure.
Be as detailed as possible.
No, I'm seeing right now.
I got a pen and I got a
tow trailer and 4520 maybe a little bit.
He's on a mission. Now she's on a mission. Be as detailed as possible. Interesting.
No, I have no idea. I did not get it yet.
Casey Fines here is looking for the SUV driver. Casey Fines is on a mission. You'll see her make contact. He's making contact with everybody. All while his body cam is muted. And every officer, you'll see that as soon as they make contact with him, they'll mute their body cam. They're having conversations. By the way, it's illegal for those officers to mute their body cams. to omit these details out of the investigation.
She was hysterical when I was trying to talk to her. No, I have no idea. I did not get it yet. She was hysterical when I was trying to talk to her. Yeah, it might be Josie. I think it might be Surdom. Surdom was talking to her. I do not know where he is. I think
Surdom was talking to the SUV driver. How come we don't have a statement from the SUV driver? The statement from the SUV driver is missing. There is no statement. But we have a body cam.
might be down there. You need it like right now?
Rescue just wants her ID right now. I'm not sure about that.
You'll see this officer, as soon as he goes to Robert Drum and other officers, he'll mute his body cam. It's illegal for this officer and other officer to mute their body cams. It's illegal, but they're doing it. So he goes and mutes his body cam. And at one point, this officer is coordinating it with Casey Fiennes, Officer Casey Fiennes. Every time he sees him, he begins muting. He knows what Officer Casey Fiennes is doing. Their job is Officer Casey Fiennes is to go and talk to the witnesses, gives them a statement, and then another officer will take their statement. But he already told them and weaponized them against Mustafa. The same thing that he's telling the investigator, Robert Drum, that Mustafa is on drugs, he's telling the bystanders the same thing. You're going to see they're going to walk up on the main investigator, Robert Drum, and immediately Robert Drum is heard to say, I need a blood draw on Mustafa. I have another body cam on why he says I need a blood draw on Mustafa. And the reason he said I need a blood draw on Mustafa, because Officer Casey Fiennes, as soon as Robert Drum got on scene, Officer Casey Fiennes tells Robert Drum that Mustafa is on drugs, immediately inserting a bias and steering the investigation into that Mustafa is a fool.
I don't know. One of them.
The way they mute. It's illegal to here they're doing it. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy tells Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, this is because of a buffer. When the officer gets on scene, immediately as they get on scene, there's a minute of a buffer. Judge Carol Weimer used to be a Prince William County police officer. So he tells her, are you telling me that this body cam, and he's laughing at her, by the way. He's angry. He tells her, are you telling me that these body cams have a brain of their own to know when to mute and not mute? Because the defense attorney, Mustafa's defense attorney, Brad Haywood, is telling the judge, Your Honor, they're muting all throughout the whole investigation. And at one point, there are body cams that are muted without them muting, will clearly show that the department, Internal Affairs, muted before those body cams are uploaded into the police department server, evidence.com. I have a edited, redacted body cams into the server. I need the original to see what bias took place in this investigation. So the prosecutor flat out lied to Judge Carol Weimer in court, telling him that there's a buffer, a minute. Your officers are omitting key evidence out of this case because they're falsifying and tampering with witnesses. And the question is, are you notified every step of the way? I have evidence that you have been notified. And as a matter of fact, you're not just being notified, you're instructing these officers on what to do. So, Sarah, we need your communication. Mustafa is entitled, Mustafa's defense is entitled to the communication. And it's not up to you, man. It's not even up to Judge Carol Weimer. This is a case out of the Supreme Court, Brady versus Maryland. Once you identify there's a bias, the defense is entitled to the communication of the prosecutor. Prosecutor's communication with the officers, prosecutor communication with the witnesses, because at this point, it's exculpatory evidence. It's going to get to the bottom of why we have witnesses tampered with, why we have Mustafa's statement falsified, why we have a dash camera cut and muted, why do we have a vehicle crushed in stage, why do we have children weaponized against Mustafa, in the process abused. A prosecutor that doesn't care about a 9, a 10, a 14, weaponized by the police.
What was it? Child's still alive. All right, good.
This is investigator Robert Drum. The officer walks up to Robert Drum, and what you'll hear is Robert Drum is standing right next to Officer Casey Fine. And another body cam, we'll go over that body cam, where he's telling this investigator that Mustafa is on drugs, putting a label on Mustafa, starting and steering the investigation in where now it has a bias. They're condemning Mustafa guilty before they scanned the vehicle, before they reconstructed the car accident, before they looked at the dash camera, before they looked at the computer inside the vehicle, before they talked to Mustafa. They've condemned Mustafa guilty. As soon as they got on the scene, they condemned Mustafa guilty.
All right, SUV. So apparently, I think the kid's dead. The mom's been dying.
He said kid is still alive.
Okay. He's telling me that guy's probably drug related. I need a blood draw on doctor. Did anybody see exactly what happened?
These two, this lady right here, and
he's telling me that this guy is at fault. Robert Drum, the main investigator, says he's telling me who's he. Casey Fines. We're gonna go over that body cam. Casey Fines tells Robert Drum that Mustafa is at fault. Robert Drum says Casey Fine is telling me that Mustafa is at fault. I need a blood draw on Mustafa. Immediately condemned Mustafa guilty. Immediately. As soon as he got on scene, they condemned Mustafa guilty. And they ran with it. Does it have anything to do with Mustafa's $500,000 lawsuit? Oh, that's right. Mustafa was suing the police. $500,000. Mustafa was suing the police. That now he has a vehicle accident. Doesn't matter if this is a car accident anymore. They're taking advantage of the vehicle accident.
this gentleman right here, they're both making written statements.
You're going to hear this talk about the witness at 1850, timestamp 1850 in Exhibit 4. He's going to completely falsify the statement out of that witness. The witness at timestamp 1850 says Mustafa cleared the vehicle all the way into the fourth lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Let's hear what this officer is telling Drum, and then we'll go back to that statement and see if this officer falsified the witness statement.
Got all the info. This guy says that. Hold on 1 second.
This guy, the individual at timestamp 1850, the individual with the hat with the orange beard.
The Suburban is going eastbound in the straight lane. Chrysler is coming westbound in the straight lane and then just veers over into oncoming traffic and just hits her. He says he thinks the Chrysler is going about 50. They were going about 50, 55. Okay. And just head on.
That's interesting. That's not what he said. That's not what the individual said. The individual said Mustafa cleared the SUV into the fourth lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Now this officer is telling Robert Drum that this individual at 1850 said that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. What are we talking about? Let's go to that body cam really quick and verify it.
So I want to make sure I get this straight.
This car was in front of me. And I saw the Chrysler just randomly, he wasn't even in the turn lane, he just darted over directly in front of this car.
Okay.
And so she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side. So she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
He made it far enough over into the right side, into the fourth lane. And the SUV slammed into him, slammed into Mustafa, slammed into the fourth lane. But you have an officer that's telling Robert Drum.
Yep. The
Something
Suburban is
completely different.
going eastbound in the straight lane. Chrysler is coming westbound in the straight lane and then just veers over into oncoming traffic and just hits her. He says he thinks the Chrysler's going about 50. They were going about 50, 55. And then just head on. 55.
Head on. It's a head-on collision. Interesting. Well, this prosecutor is in trouble. These police officers are in trouble. They sealed off the case so no one can verify what the individual at the scene are talking about. That they thought they were comfortable that they got Casey Fines manipulating and weaponizing the individuals at the scene against Mustafa. And what were they hoping? That they were going to walk these individuals? I mean, the prosecutor for 2.5 years says, I have witnesses that say Mustafa drove the vehicle into oncoming traffic. This officer is collaborating what the prosecutor says. But when you hear the witnesses themselves, this individual at 1850 says Mustafa cleared the SUV into the fourth lane. The SUV turned into Mustafa. The other witness with the green shirt says that she heard Mustafa brake skids. She heard Mustafa hit the brake. And everybody else, the rest of the witness, didn't see anything. So this prosecutor is flat out lying to the judge for 2.5 years. They have officers that are weaponizing witnesses. It's nowhere in the report. You only see on a body cam that's sealed. Why do you think they're so terrified that this file is going out to the internet? Because now the community is watching that they can't falsify this case. They can no longer falsify this case. There is transparency in what they've done. This is a body cam where, let's see if I can find it. Officer Casey Fines, as soon as investigator Robert Drum gets on the scene, you have Officer Casey Fine tell Robert Drum, let me see if I can find it. Tell Robert Drum that Mustafa is on drugs. Let's see if I can find it.
That's what I mean. SUV, if you want to take a picture of it, we're hanging on to it. What do you need out of it?
This is Casey Fine talk about identifying Mustafa, calling Officer Duplessis and patrol that who Mustafa is and his family.
Yeah? You don't remember his name?
Mustafa is his name.
Mustafa.
I called duplexes. I got his name, mom's name, and kid's name. That's the deadline.
They already know Mustafa. Okay, of course they know. He's got $500,000 lawsuit. Let's see. There we go. This is the body cam where as soon as investigator Robert Drum gets on the scene, he's telling the main investigator that Mustafa's on drugs, putting a label on Mustafa, inserting a bias into this case.
Pictures while you do anything else.
No, we'll figure out where the bodies are going in a minute. Witnesses, anybody say what happened?
Yeah, there's a lady right over here in the black. She saw everything.
Okay.
I believe. This car is the at fault. This is the driver of that vehicle.
Okay. Thank you. So at fault so far. Crossed over when oncoming traffic?
I'm not 100% sure. Knowing him though, it's probably drug related.
Okay. If that's the case, I want somebody to go get a blood draw. If he's driving?
They said he's driving, but I've had contact with him before. Not driving, but he was out of it.
See if somebody can get somebody to do a blood draw on him. Because apparently the kid and mom is already dead.
Okay.
He puts a label on Mustafa that he's on drugs. He tells investigator Drum that I've had contact with him. He wasn't driving, but he was out of it. Where are the police reports? There is no incident. There is no police report. All we have is that Mustafa sued the police for $500,000. He gets in a car accident. Now you're talking about being briefed about Mustafa. I have Officer Rob in a body cam where he says he's been briefed about Mustafa. And then he mutes his body cam. You have Officer Casey Fines put a label on Mustafa. They haven't scanned the vehicle. They haven't scanned the roads. They haven't reconstructed the car accident. They haven't looked at the computer inside the vehicle. They haven't looked at the dash camera inside Mustafa's car. As soon as they got on scene, they put a label on Mustafa and condemned him guilty. And then evidence showed later that his blood toxicology showed no alcohol, no drugs. The dash camera showed that this is a car accident, that he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. They falsify his statements. The dash camera showed that there is no argument inside the vehicle. Robert Drum falsified Mustafa's statement only to say that, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle. The audio recording of the conversation comes out, and it shows that Mustafa never told this investigator what he put on the police report. This investigator flat out lied. The dash camera showed that there is no argument inside the vehicle. Evidence showed that this is a car accident. The evidence showed that the police department crushed and staged that vehicle. I mean, you have here officers that are condemning Mustafa guilty as soon as they showed up on site.
Okay, hold on a second.
Alright, SUV. So apparently I think the kid's dead, the mom's dead.
He said kid is still alive.
Okay. He's telling me that guy's probably drug related. I need a blood draw and doctor. Did anybody see exactly what happened?
This lady right here and this gentleman right here, they're both making written statements. I got all their info. This guy said.
So as soon as they showed up, they condemned Mustafa guilty. Let's continue.
Opened up the door. The driver was sitting in the passenger side seat. She was moving herself.
Getting all of a sudden as it
across the door. No, incoherent, but he expected.
Take a hard look at this body cam and tell me that's not a weird interaction. Why is this officer muting as soon as he makes contact with Casey Fines? As of he knows Casey Fine is on a mission. As soon as he makes contact with him, he mutes. He knows what Officer Casey Fines is doing. Officer Casey Fines is making contact with every individual that's on the scene to weaponize them against Mustafa. Have them change their statements. And this officer knows what Casey Fine is doing. Look at how he mutes his body cam as soon as he made contact with Casey Fines.
I see she was moving herself. Just
getting all of a sudden as it
across the door. No, incoherent, but she expected. So she ended up extracting herself out of the car and we got her over there. She was here, and I thought that she was there. This part of the car, we got her there.
Why did he mute his body cam as soon as he made contact with Officer Casey Fines? He knows what conversation is going on here. What are they talking about? It's illegal to mute your body cam. You're omitting key information out of this investigation. And it shows that you're weaponizing the witnesses against Mustafa. So Mustafa lays in a coma in front of his vehicle. He just lost his family in this car accident. And you have officers that show up on scene only to weaponize the witnesses and turn a car accident into something completely different. I mean, this officer is heard telling the main investigator that Mustafa's on drugs. You don't think he's going around telling every witness the same thing? Absolutely. The real question is, what are they telling the prosecutor? What communication is this officer having with the prosecutor? And that's what has to be released. Those communication has to be released to the defense. Does the prosecutor know that her officer falsified the witness statements? Does this prosecutor know that this officer is weaponizing witnesses against Mustafa? Does this prosecutor know that this investigator, as soon as he got on scene, he told the investigator that Mustafa is on drugs? When his toxicology report showed no alcohol and no drugs. When prosecutor Sarah Sammy is asked in a Brady motion about this exact officer and what he told investigator Robert Drum, that as soon as he got on scene, he told him Mustafa's on drugs, putting that label on Mustafa. She says, Your Honor, this is because of the Stafford police and the incident with Stafford. Are you not confirming what I'm talking about here? What is the Stafford incident? The Stafford incident is an incident in 2018. Took place in 2018. The police raided our house, arrested Mustafa, arrested everybody in the house, and charged everybody with assault by mob. And then turned around and said, oops, we raided your house by accident. We charged you, Mustafa, assault by mob by accident. Dropped all of it. And by the way, when they raided the house, they didn't have a warrant. Imagine your house gets raided by the police. They arrest you. They charge you with assault. And then turn around and says, oops, we messed up. We accidentally entered your house. Well, Mustafa turned around and sued the police. That's the Stafford incident. And then this prosecutor is telling the judge, because of the Stafford police, that's exactly what we're talking about here. We're saying that there is a bias in this case. That because of a $500,000 lawsuit, Mustafa gets in a car accident, and now the police are falsifying this case. And if you knew that, if you know that, and you're having communication with these officers that are telling you what they're doing, is that why you're terrified not to release your communication? She tells Judge Carol Weimer, the presiding judge, it's dangerous to release my communication. It's dangerous to probe into these police officers. Why is it dangerous? Absolutely, it's dangerous for you because you're going to jail. It's gonna. I mean, this discovery that I have, and these body cams showed that you've been updated every step of the way. You think these police officers are acting on their own? No. This prosecutor is not only being notified, no, she's telling them on what to do to falsify this case.
You got any extras? My cruiser's all the way down. I'll grab some more. Hey, do you mind right now what you saw, even if it was...
This is an off-duty paramedic. That got Mustafa. He's the first person that was there on the scene. He's the one that got Mustafa, his girlfriend, and 5-year-old Empress. Bystanders are the one that took everybody out. So he's describing the condition of Mustafa's family.
She was breathing still, but as soon as I pulled out of the car and holding the C-spine, I wasn't really doing any vital checks. She wasn't moving, but she was responsive. As soon as I set her down, I pinched her leg.
Grab her phone out of the car here.
It's up to this gentleman right here. That's good.
This is a paramedic that's asking for the phone. He's asking for the ID.
As soon as I set her down,
the ID of the SUV driver.
I pinched her leg.
Grab her phone out of the car here.
It's up to this gentleman right here. That's good. Can you all step up on the medium real quick? This car's gonna pull out.
Phone? I'm off the
Here you'll hear the paramedic tell investigator Robert Drum that the SUV driver is a PLS patient. For those that don't know what PLS is, you have weak extremities, upper extremities, lower extremities. That's a condition that the SUV driver has. Now, what we know about the SUV driver is that she's on heavy medication that day. She's not supposed to be on the roads. And the computer inside her vehicle show that one, she's speeding, two, she's speeding, and two, she never hit the brake. She never hit the brake. And she turned into the 4th lane. Interesting.
No, she's a BLS patient.
Thank you. I'm going to get him straight out of here. I'm going to let him creep through here and swing around.
There's a white car on the other side. She's good to go. I think she's going to, I think she's ready in the witness statement.
Okay. All right.
Do you have an extra one? Can I take one?
You want to take a picture?
Okay.
You want to scan it?
Yeah, I'll grab my safety pad. I'll scan it.
We're gonna get
here in this body cam. You'll hear this officer tell Robert Drum, "We're gonna let people get out. We're gonna let people get through." And investigator Robert Drum, when he's told that we're gonna let people get through, he's like, "Yeah, let them go through." And what they're doing is they're letting vehicle go through the scene. What happened to preserving the scene? I find it disturbing that these officers are writing in the report there are no brake marks, when throughout the police body cams, I'm watching Mustafa brake marks throughout the whole entire case, through those body cams. If you zoom in, you'll see Mustafa's brake marks. The dash camera showed that Mustafa, everybody shifts forward, that at one point Mustafa is hitting the brake. Mustafa, the computer inside the vehicle showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Now, the police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. The vehicle would not stop. 2 calipers did not work. The other 2 calipers did work. And you see Mustafa's brake mark through these body cams. When you watch these body cams, and we'll zoom in, you'll see Mustafa's brake mark. What is this investigator talking about? That Mustafa does not have brake marks. They completely lied. on body cams, you see Mustafa's brake marks. You hear the other bystander say that she heard Mustafa hit the brake. But there's brake failure. The vehicle would not stop.
A few people through here, if it's cool with you, just to get them out of here. Can y'all step up for me just a little bit? Gotta get this guy out of here.
What happened to preserving the scene? They're letting the vehicles go through. They're letting the fire truck go through. They're letting the ambulance go through. They're letting everybody go through. That right there is Mustafa brake marks. You see right there? That right there? That's Mustafa brake marks. Now, you know that because when you're watching the dash camera, the travel path, if you look through Mustafa's dash camera, that brake mark, I mean, how do you know that's Mustafa's brake mark? Because when you watch the dash camera, Mustafa's travel path, that skid mark, that brake mark was not there. Only after Mustafa goes through that travel path, you'll see Mustafa brake skid mark. So these officers are talking about that Mustafa didn't have any brake marks before the impact. That's not true. We're seeing it through the police body cams. And I'm specifically talking about that right there. They're just letting vehicle just go through the scene. Like, what happened to preserving the scene?
Both bodies are to the site of Congress and Melrose Department. 3541 Melrose.
They let that fire truck go through the scene. Also, here, this is really interesting. The lady with the white vehicle, the individual that says I didn't see anything. And another body cam, Officer Surdam is seen to go over to Target. I guess her daughter was there. She says, my mom is there. And then he tells her she can go over, brings her over to her mom. We'll talk about that at another podcast. More details once we release the rest of the body cams. What I find disturbing here is he's letting them go through the scene. So they're letting vehicles go through the scene. They're letting the fire truck go through. They're letting an ambulance truck go through the scene. I mean, whatever happened to preserving the scene?
Cool with them going straight through? Do me a favor. Just back up here, and I'll direct you around the end.
Yeah, so we're in Montclair.
We're gonna back them up and just bring them around.
We're in Montclair, so we need to go back.
Yep, that's fine. Back around here.
We're in Montclair. We're in the opposite direction. Yeah, go right ahead. Go through the scene. We've already condemned Mustafa guilty. Doesn't matter. Go right through the scene.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. If he's got to stop off, go straight forward. Just watch his officers. He'll tell you when to go. Okay.
Here, they're gonna let this fire truck just go right through the scene.
Okay, 12.
Now, what I find interesting is you have Casey Fines in the background weaponizing the individuals, the bystander against Mustafa, telling them that Mustafa is on drugs. We need you to get Mustafa. It's up to you to get Mustafa. It's up to you to get justice. We need this guy off the street. I mean, he's telling the main investigator that Mustafa is on drugs. You want to tell me that he's not telling the witnesses the same thing? He has his body cam on mute, and he's going around making contact with witnesses. Now, I find it interesting that I have a body cam where Officer Casey Fine, after he's got done coercing and weaponizing the bystanders against Mustafa, coordinated with another officer that he doesn't care about witnesses. That one of the bystanders just happened to walk by. It's like, oh, that's a witness. Yeah. So what? I don't care about witnesses. So what if there's a witness? Are you just going to let him walk through? Yeah. It doesn't matter. He's performing for the body cam. That he doesn't care about witnesses. We just got done seeing you all throughout the whole body cam that you're making contact with these witnesses. But here you want to tell us, yeah, a witness? I don't care about a witness. I mean, he's performing for the body cam. Let's watch.
What's up? Was he a witness? I don't know.
Let's watch that one more time. So a bystander just happened to walk by. This officer is telling him, isn't he a witness? Yeah, I don't care. Officer Casey Fines wants to tell us that he doesn't care. He's not performing for the body cam? Absolutely. Let's watch that one more time.
What's up? Was he a witness? I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna...
Oscar goes to Casey Fines. And the Oscar goes to Casey Fines. Well, Casey Fines, how do you feel today, sir? That I have all these body cams and we can actually put you under a microscope and take a look at what you've done to the bystanders, what you've done at the scene. And Casey Fines, Officer Casey Fines, the prosecutor's communication is going to be released to the defense. By the way, Brady versus Maryland entitles Brad Haywood to the communication of Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. What you told her, Brad Haywood's going to have it. What she told you and what she instructed you to do with these witnesses, Mustafa's defense is going to have that. We're going to get to the bottom of what you've done in this case.
I don't know if he's going to make it through there. We should have just flipped him around. Yeah? You don't remember his name?
Mustafa is his name.
Mustafa.
I called B pluses. I got his name, mom's name, and kid's name. Just the dead one.
Dorothy Fontaine says. I don't know.
He's got his name. He's got the family's name, Mustafa's girlfriend. Clearly, they've been watching Mustafa. I mean, you want to tell me that Mustafa sues the police for $500,000 and they're not watching him? Absolutely. I mean, I have an officer that shows up on scene on a body cam and he says, we've been briefed about Mustafa, and then he mutes his body cam. Now you have this officer putting a label on Mustafa, going around telling witnesses, putting that label, telling witnesses, lying to these witnesses about Mustafa, steering and putting a bias in this case. Before they scanned the vehicle, before they reconstructed this car accident, before they looked at the computer inside the vehicle, before they looked at the dash camera, they've condemned Mustafa guilty. As soon as they got on scene, they put a label on Mustafa that he's on drugs. Doesn't matter that if his toxicology show no drugs, no alcohol. It doesn't matter if it shows that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. They seal off the whole case. They falsify his statements. They cut and mute the dash camera. Remove the audio. They crush and stage the vehicle. Weaponize the children. And they seal off the whole case. No one can verify it. Well, today we have the whole file. And we're releasing it on the internet. And we can absolutely verify what they've done in the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case. This prosecutor, we started this podcast with this prosecutor, an audio that this prosecutor tells the judge, I have witnesses that will say, that said, Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. Well, that's interesting. I have your officer, prosecutor Sarah Sami, weaponize those individuals against Mustafa, telling these individuals that it's up to you to get justice. A mother and her 5-year-old baby died, and the person that you see on the floor in a coma, don't feel bad for him. He's on drugs. Lying to the witnesses to coerce them against Mustafa. And we're going to get your communication, and we're going to see what you told this officer and what he told you when he was weaponizing the bystander, the witnesses against Mustafa. You tell the judge in court. You told the judge in court that you have witnesses that said that Mustafa drove into oncoming traffic. The witnesses are actually saying, we didn't see anything. And then you open the body cam to an individual at timestamp 1850 and Exhibit 4 that says Mustafa cleared the SUV, made it to the 4th lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. You've been lying about Mustafa for 2.5 years. And your lies, prosecutor Sarah Sami, is catching up to you. Another witness in a green shirt says, I heard Mustafa hit the brake. You told the judge that there is nothing wrong with Mustafa's vehicle. But here we have a body cam that shows Mustafa, the police mechanic, inspect the vehicle and find brake failure. You told the judge that Mustafa's passenger side is crushed. That Mustafa deliberately, on purpose, crushed his girlfriend that sat in the front passenger seat and the 5-year-old baby that sat right behind her. We see on a body cam that Investigator Davis is talking about, we, the police, told the fire department to crush Dorothy's side. The police department crushed her. Mustafa cleared the SUV, and the SUV turned into the 4th lane and clipped the back quarter panel of the vehicle. Your police crushed this vehicle. But this body cams are sealed, so you feel comfortable telling the judge that Mustafa had his passenger, front passenger, his girlfriend, crushed by the SUV. And now we're finding out that the police department crushed Dorothy's side. That Mustafa cleared the SUV. We're going to keep releasing these body cams. We're doing really good. We have a defense attorney that's fighting for Mustafa, Brad Haywood. Multiple motions have been approved and are moving forward. Brady violation have been approved by Judge Carol Weimer. We're going to get to the bottom of the communication. The judge denied the communication. Judge Carol Weimer, the community is watching you, sir. Yes, you approved the Brady violations. You have no choice but to approve them. I mean, we have body cams and documents that have been released that show that the children are weaponized against Mustafa. A 9, a 10, a 14. The vehicle has been crushed and staged by the police department. Mustafa's statements are falsified. Witnesses on the scene being tampered with by Casey Fines. A dash camera cut and muted. And now the police department is talking about the audio is there. They've been saying the audio is not there for 2.5 years. Judge Carol Weimer, you're the presiding judge, and you denied the communication to be released of the prosecutor. By the way, Mustafa's defense is entitled to the communication, Sarah Sammy's communication, especially when she's being updated every step of the way, especially when there is a bias in this case. There's a bias all over the case, the whole entire case. And this prosecutor is being notified every step of the way. Mustafa is entitled to this communication under the case Brady versus Maryland, a case out of the Supreme Court. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, we're going to get your communication. And that's a promise. Mustafa's defense will get your communication. You tell Judge Carol Weimer it's dangerous. And the reason you're telling him it's dangerous because it's going to show that not only that you've been notified of what these officers are doing, no, you're instructing these officers on how to go about falsifying this case. That's why you tell him it's dangerous. It's dangerous because if it gets released to the defense, you're going to jail. And I'll promise you, your communication will be released. Now, what we've done today is we talked about Exhibit 4. We're going to be working our way through this file, and we're doing really good. One of the videos went up to 70,000 views. Every video is hitting just about 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 and up. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, this case is going viral, ma'am. You've been falsifying this case for 2.5 years. This community is watching. Specifically, Judge Carol Weimer, they're watching you be the presiding judge over the Mustafa Al-Jazairi case. I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, ask questions. Tell me what you want me to talk about on the next podcast. If you have questions, we're going to try to answer them. And support the podcast through the Cash App. Make sure you share the podcast. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cam, Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a... If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a... If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed...
In a cell, no trial, no voice. Truth buried deep, but we ain't got no choice. They tried to erase them, break them apart, but we scream free Mustafa from the soul, from the heart. They falsified the paper, twisted every word, turned a car crash to murder, like justice never heard. Dorothy be an empress. Angels in the sky, now they blame a broken man while the real ones lie. A badge and a pen, that's all it took. Sign his fate with a false report and a dirty look.
Wherever the fuck is on the other side, where the fuck that guy goes, follow him to the
And again, scream Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. Amy Ashworth, playing judge and the jury in a county so dirty, soaked in fury. Police and the courts all in on the plot. They framed an innocent man and left his soul to rot. But his family's out marching, banners held high, while supporters flood timelines, refusing to lie. They want silence, we give them the storm. Truth blazing through like justice reborn. Every post, every chant, every sleepless night is a spark in the dark that's ready to ignite. This ain't just a song, it's a battle cry for every soul locked up while the guilty lie. We free Mustafa, loud through the chains. Justice corrupted, drowning in pain. From the cell block to the street, we'll never stop till the walls fall down and the charges drop. Free Mustafa, it's more than a name, it's a movement, a mission, exposing the game to Trump and Cash. Hear our cry, bring the truth to light, let the innocent fly. To